Hey folks, this is Kalani. We finally have a release date for the Dragonflight expansion and the timeline is about what we were expecting, but Blizzard has some very interesting surprises lined up for the Dragonflight release schedule, especially regarding raid difficulties and how that's all going to work. There's quite a bit to unpack here and it's incredibly exciting, so let's break it all down and see how long we have to wait until Dragonflight is finally in our hands. Before we jump in, be sure to hit up that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. So we finally have a release date. Dragonflight will go live on November 28th, so our predictions were right on point, and I'm glad that the dev team is trying to slip Dragonflight right in between the two holidays instead of having large portions of the release schedule overlap with either Thanksgiving or Christmas, obviously the latter being more problematic. So the end of November, that's when we can finally jump into this new adventure for real, so we don't have too much longer to wait. But there are some massive changes planned for both release and for the pre-patch as we lead up to Dragonflight. For starters, the release schedule for Season 1 and the new raid coming along with Dragonflight will be very different from the past. On December 12th, so 2 weeks after the expansion launches, the raid will open up. But instead of being a staggered release of difficulties, everything is going to open up at the same time. So that means that normal, heroic and mythic difficulties of the raid will all start together on December 12th. This is an interesting shake-up from previous expansions or even patches because mythic is usually always 1 week after normal and heroic. Opening them up at the same time is going to give you more options for gearing up, and it's just going to be a bit weird. I'm super interested to see how the race to World First is going to go this time because suddenly you don't have that one extra week of prep for grinding out as much gear as possible and running as much heroic as possible, so they'll have to change strategies, and that would create an interesting competitive environment. But I also just love that this was initially brought up in an interview a little while ago. Ian just casually tacked on this question at the end. What do you think about releasing Mythic in the same week as normal and heroic? And everyone went crazy. It was hilarious. It was also reinforced that this was just a hypothetical. It's just a question, just to gauge a reaction, but then they announced it for real anyway. That's fantastic, and I think it's going to shake things up quite a bit. In addition, cross-faction Mythic raiding will also be open right from the get-go, so you won't have to wait for the Hall of Fame to fill up or anything like that to raid across Horde and Alliance, which is a great quality of life feature going forward. To maintain the integrity of the Hall of Fame, you'll now need at least 16 out of the 20 raiders to be in the same guild to qualify, so there are some new restrictions in play, but it's a worthy trade-off for the cross-faction functionality. The raid changes also have some very important knock-on effects for the Mythic Plus system. Usually the item level rewards for Mythic Plus are limited for that first week where Mythic Raid is still locked, but with the Mythic opening up right away, that means the higher item level loot from raids is also available right away, so it doesn't make as much sense to limit Mythic Plus rewards. So as soon as Mythic Plus starts, you'll be able to earn everything all the way up to the cap, which is probably going to be a plus 15 dungeon once again. So no limits, no loot locks, no waiting on those huge upgrades. You can dive straight in and gear yourself up in that first week. Another change for the Mythic Plus system in Season 1 of Dragonflight is a switch around for some of the affixes. The dev team confirmed that both Necrotic and Inspiring will not be included as affixes for Season 1, thank the Dungeon Lords, but we will see a brand new affix added instead. We have no idea what that affix is going to be, but we should find out pretty soon, probably when the Mythic Plus system starts its testing on the beta servers. Now, with almost everything opening up at the same time on December 12th, there is one thing we still have to wait for, looking for raid. They're still delaying the LFR release schedule a little bit, sadly, so you'll have to wait a week for the first wing of LFR, and then wait until the new year for the other two wings. I still think LFR should open up way faster than it currently does, and I don't really see any major reason to delay it at all, but I guess we're going to have to take this one step at a time. So if you rely on LFR to get your raiding fix, you will have to wait a bit longer than everyone else. Moving on, we also have our first glimpse of the return of the Creation Catalyst. It's going to be called the Inspiration Catalyst in Dragonflight, and it will work in exactly the same way by the looks of things. You can turn non-set pieces of gear into pieces of set gear at the same item level. Now, we're not entirely sure which types of gear will be included here. It's safe to say that Raid gear, Mythic Plus gear, and rated PvP gear will be included, but there are also a lot of different gear sets available at max level in Dragonflight. We have the Storm Sigil gear set, which is available to everyone through the Outdoor World Elemental Invasion events. There is a new set for PvP gear, which revolves around War Mode and a new type of token. And then we also have a lot of gear that comes from crafting. Crafting is going to be huge in Dragonflight. If you haven't seen anything about it just yet, we made a full guide looking over the profession overhaul coming in Dragonflight. I'll link that in the description, and there should be a link at the top right of your screen. It is a bit of a long one, but if you're interested in professions, you should learn quite a lot. The crafted gear sets could also be a candidate for the Inspiration Catalyst, which will make crafting even more valuable. Now, even though though we have confirmation that the catalyst is returning with a brand new name, we don't know when it will appear or whether the charge system will return with it. The Blue Post says it will be available later in Season 1, which doesn't really narrow it down. For the Sepulchre of the first ones, I think it came in at the 8-week mark, right? That was widely considered far too late. I think 4 weeks is being thrown around as a potential timeline, but what do you think? When should the catalyst become available for everyone to start using to get those shiny tier set bonuses? Should it always be right away, or should it be in 4 weeks, or maybe even longer? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Alright, so we know when the expansion is going to launch, but what about pre-patch? Sadly, we don't have an official date just yet, but we can make some very good guesstimations. To start with, let's revisit our good old friend, the release date leak. You remember this one? With the release date of Dragonflight locked in for November 28th, we have one more bingo slot to check off here. So this leak has been very accurate so far, which makes me excited to see what happens with Diablo 4 later in the year, but the main thing I want to bring up again is the pre-patch date. This leak has the pre-patch noted down for October 25th, which fits perfectly. It's about 5 weeks before Dragonflight release, which gives us plenty of time to work through any pre-patch events, get alts leveled up, make our Dracthea evokers, and generally just get ready for the expansion. The leak has been right on the money so far. It's kind of earned at least a little bit of recognition, a little bit of status here as a potential real leak. So if I were a betting man, I would totally put my money on October 25th as well. There are some interesting additions relating to pre-patch. For starters, we will see the return of the Winds of Wisdom experience buff. This increases all experience gains by 50%, and it will work from level 10 up to level 59. So no matter what level your alt is, this experience buff should give you a nice boost to your leveling adventures. The experience buff will start on October 4th, and it will continue until the pre-patch goes live. So if pre-patch is slated for October 25th, that would give us about 3 weeks of this huge experience boost. It is worth noting that even though this experience buff will be removed when the pre-patch is released, the pre-patch itself will be changing leveling quite considerably. To start with, we are expecting about a 60% reduction in overall experience required to level from 1 to 60, so arguably leveling will be faster in the pre-patch despite you losing that 50% buff. That means that if you want to min-max your alt leveling, it could still be worth waiting for pre-patch to get that all sorted and squared away. That's up to you though. We will probably have a lot of other activities to do during pre-patch, so if you would rather level now, the 50% buff will still speed things up a lot. A kind of compromise you could do, and it's something that I might take advantage of, is to level your alts to 50 right now and then finish the 50 to 60 leg of your adventure in pre-patch. When the pre-patch goes live, Chromie time will be extended to level 60, which means you can level up in any expansion all the way to level 60. So if you want to avoid re-leveling through Shadowlands, pre-patch will not only make that possible, but it will make that very easy and incredibly efficient. And then the last little bit of info we have confirmed regarding pre-patch is that Evoker Dractheas will be available to create and play sometime during the pre-patch window, meaning we can get them leveled up to 60 and ready to take on the Dragon Isles alongside everyone else. You will need to have the Dragonflight expansion purchased to create your Dracthea, I'm pretty sure, so keep that in mind if creating your Dracthea early is something you want to do before the expansion launches. But that's all of our news regarding the release date of Dragonflight and some massive changes coming with it. What do you think of the Dragonflight release date? Is it too early or maybe perfect timing? How do you feel about every raid difficulty opening up in the same week? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to everyone subscribed on Twitch. You can see the names floating by on screen. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.